Good morning. Welcome to Our Town at Comma Coffee. I'm Kurt Caraway. This morning we're going to be continuing our conversation with Larry Werner, the City Manager, about the City Center project. Right now we're going to take a short break for a word from our sponsor.
Care. It's a word we hear every day. But what does it really mean?
It means loving what you do.
Care is respect, dignity, kindness, and joy.
It means being passionate about what you do.
Care is what we do every day.
It means everything to my patient.
I am healthcare that does care.
I am Carson Tahoe.
Okay, and we're back. So when we last talked, we were talking about the land for from the foundation. We'll be leasing the land to the city for the parking garage, the public plaza, and the library. Right. Knowledge Center. Correct. And then after a certain period of time, now the plan is for at the end of the lease, the land under the library will then go back to, or will be then deeded over to the city.
Correct.
Right. But under the plaza and the parking garage, that will still be lease payments, I guess, going on forward, or?
Right. Under the current scenario, and that's what we looked at. Is just it asked the partners, the trust, it's confusing because you're right. Because right now the land is owned by the trust, and when we do the project, it'll go to the foundation. But what they've told us is that whatever makes the project work, if we have to have ownership of the land at the end of the lease period underneath the plaza and the parking structure, then they're willing to do that. But they'd prefer to do it is go ahead and have lease payments, because then it keeps assets within the foundation. Mm-hmm. But they would take those lease payments and work with the city to put those back into the maintenance and operation of those facilities. Mm-hmm. So it appears to be viable. In other words, if we had to go buy the land, mm-hmm. To put these projects on, it would be the same cost. In this case, we're kind of investing into the property, and we're getting the money back. Because even the lease payments we make toward the library, the Knowledge Center, during the time frame that we're making those payments, the land lease portion of that is going to be set aside within the foundation to be used for charitable organizations within Carson City. Mm-hmm. And the targeted audience would be children, animals, education. Mm-hmm. So that gets reinvested back into the community too, right. Which is an opportunity that we would not have if we were just doing a straight purchase otherwise.
Yeah. Now the last time this was before the Citizens Advisory Board, there seemed to be a little bit of a gap in terms of the funding, in terms of what the payments would be for each, for the project. Right. So it seemed to vary, because obviously you don't know what your interest rate's going to be because of varies, but that seemed to be varying back and forth. Is it still looking like there's a little bit of a gap? Is there going to have to be some fill-in terms of from general fund, or is there anything like that, or is it would the 8-cent sales tax carry it?
It's kind of all of the above. We left it with a gap now because until we actually get to design, mm-hmm. we don't know what the actual true costs are. These are based on schematics, on conceptual plans. And we said, go with what seems to make the most sense today. We know what the 1/8-cent sales tax will generate under the current economy, mm-hmm. and that did leave a gap between what, if we were to build what everybody would like to build versus what we could get with the 1/8-cent sales tax. There was a portion that we'd have to come up with. And at this stage, it would be a combination of monies from the redevelopment agency and monies from the general fund, mm-hmm. That could help fill that. And then when I looked at that, I said, in my mind, it's a choice and a priority of the community as to whether or not they want to spend money there or spend it someplace else. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is also, as we get to design, and if we find we have no ability to fill any of these gaps, then we can cut the project back. Mm-hmm. So we can scale it back until where it matches the dollars that the board said is totally available to it.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to take another break right now and come right back after word from our sponsor.
Never before have 2 words said so much. I am is what motivates us every day.
I am grateful.
I am is what drives us to treat each patient like family.
I am blessed.
And I am is what you can depend on when you need it most.
I am a survivor.
I heal.
I care.
I am Carson Tahoe.
Okay, and we're back. Some more about this on the funding part of it. You're looking at the 8-cent sales. You got the 8-cent sales tax to work with. Now, in the state budget, though, there's some, I keep hearing rumblings about that the state, to fix their budget hole, maybe coming back to the cities and counties to yank back some property tax money or things like that. Is that something that's got to calculate into this too, or?
Yes, it has to. I mean, it would be foolish not to think about that. And so I'm suspecting that whatever we come up with here in the very near future will be to the level that we're working into the current state statutes and the state limitations, which means that we probably won't go much forward beyond this point until we know what's going to happen at the legislature.
Yeah.
It's such a huge impact that they're going to have on us at some form or another. I just don't know where that's going to come from. And until we have that somewhat pinned down, we can't really enter into long-term commitments that are based on funds that may not be there. If they're bonds or if they're contracts or if they're guarantees, I think we're pretty well been established that that'll stay there. If we end up using the 1/8 cent sales tax, I suspect that portion may be there also. I think what has been some discussion, but although nothing officially, is that the state's portion of the sales tax, which is the general sales tax, could shift back and forth. But I believe these special sales taxes that are added on, either through like the V&T and the Parks and Rec kind of stuff, are probably protected from any of those shifting.
Right. Now, but if the state decides they want to take a bigger chunk of the property tax or something like that, where it could leave a hole in your general fund budget, that could be.
Yes.
But that's the kind of things that worry city managers and.
It does. It worries us all, and I'm not alone. Obviously, the other counties in the state are worried that way too. In this area, we deal monthly. I mean, every couple of weeks we're meeting as the 4 counties, so Story, Douglas, Lyon, and Carson, get together to kind of talk about things. We want to look at the legislation that's coming up. We want to do things to make sure that we're kind of in complete understanding of what might happen in this region. But as part of the project goes, yes, that becomes a concern. Timing-wise, what we want to do is get the board to say, okay, yeah, this is worth going to the next step, which is to go into the development agreements and design details. And again, this is always not at our risk. This at this stage forward now is at the risk of the developer. And the city's not out any money beyond this point. And we still have the ability to say no. So that's out there. And we wouldn't sign any agreements. In fact, we don't sign anything until there's actually a building constructed. So we've got time. But the developer obviously is not going to get into this project if they have no assurance that there's going to be some sort of funding out there. So all of this has to be. I
don't think they want to operate a library.
No, probably not.
So the timing of this is, waiting to see, as the legislature goes through their tough job of figuring out how you how they fill that hole. So you figure out if you have, as long as you don't have a giant hole in your budget created by their budget, that at some point, so this is going to carry through springtime probably a little bit. And
yes.
So for the timing of it.
The development documents themselves can take anywhere from 90 to 120 days just to get through all the details that before we ever then start doing anything that's a major expenditure of money. So I'm hoping that the times will coincide, that we'll have an idea what the state's going to do, and that we then can make a decision on whether we want to do this project. If we don't have that information, we're simply going to have to wait.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and talking to us about this.
Great. I appreciate it.
And I want to thank you for tuning in to Our Town of Common Coffee. We will catch you next time.
Never before have 2 words said so much. I am is what motivates us every day.
I am grateful.
I am is what drives us to treat each patient like family.
I am blessed.
And I am is what you can depend on when you need it most.
I am a survivor.
I heal.
I care.
I am Carson Tahoe.